in a good direction. Now, they have already won here on Oregon today, a little bit earlier on. They played Phoenix in our best of 3 that preceded this game here. So they've got a little bit of form on Oregon, and Black Dragons are a team that are very familiar with this map. We regularly see them pick it up inside of the regular season of the BR6. So by all accounts, things are looking up for them.
It is indeed. It is indeed. I think the fact that you've already played it today, that's going to give you a good bit of confidence knowing that you're on your game. You know what you're going to do in Oregon. And if they can execute the same way that they were doing earlier against Phoenix, Black Dragon should have no issues at all taking a 2-0 lead in this best of 5. I love it comes down to MIBR because they're the ones who have to respond, Ollie. They're the team who has to step up.
Yeah, they've obviously had a little bit of time there in between maps 1 and 2 to recompose themselves. We saw both teams using a tactical timeout during that first map as well. So they really weren't leaving anything up to chance. And so yeah, Wamai brought out as a ban there. Wamai, operator that we do see MIBR choose to use somewhat regularly. And of course, it plays into that nade meta that Black Dragons like to use. Basetto did a cracking job on Maverick on the attack on Clubhouse. He had some great opening kills that were gotten off the back of grenades. Now here he's going to be playing onto the Thermite as roles are going to be slightly adjusted and changed. It's going to be Perez instead on the Maverick. But still, we know Black Dragons are a team that seek out those opening kills and those grenades. And obviously a Wamai removal is going to assist that somewhat. Sledge there being 6-picked onto by Live as well. Just really tripling down on those nades, Demo. It's something you love to see, isn't it?
Love a good bit of nade gameplay, and even combo that with the Twitch to try and eliminate any ADSs that may be stacked up inside of Blue. And keep in mind, with Wamai being banned, that's the only denial that you have is going to be the ADSs, and there's only 3 of them, which can be very easily picked off by the Twitch drones. So the man inside of Elbow for the laundry defenses in either team is going to be in for quite a show, let's put it that way, Ollie, and it's going to deal with a lot of fireworks, I suppose. I'm seeing the Mira be brought in by MIBR. It's actually a good pick considering the lineup from Black Dragons. You're not seeing an Ace be brought in. Habana's obviously banned out. Those are the 2 hard breachers who can throw their gadget at a range. Then you're really relying as an attacking force on those Twitch drones. If you're already using the Twitch drones on, the ADS, it's very rare that you would see a Twitch drone actually be slipped in that deep into the bomb site. So overall, it's going to be a good pickup, and those mirror windows will cause issues.
MIBR choosing to start off down in the basement. No flashy first rounds here from MIBR. We saw a bit of an anomaly over on Clubhouse where both teams elected to start in gym and bedroom. And for all that it's a great and viable site, it just isn't the norm to start off down there. Typically, you want to give yourself a good head start and get around on the board nice and early as the defenders. So you're going to go to your most favored site or the most favored defender site. But even that doesn't seem to matter. Perez. It's caught Redux lacking there. I'm not sure. Did Redux hop himself out of the window, or was he just caught? Sorry, out of the door, or was he just caught by the window?
Not entirely sure. But still, MIBR losing that opening pick and Redux. I mean, we praised him, Ollie, earlier, how good he was in those opening engagements, and now we're kind of stuck at a scenario where he's on the kind of other end of it, isn't he? He's now being the opening death quite consistently at that. And that's never a stat that you want to have.
It's strange, isn't it? Our player can go from being so hot in a series at the start of the day to just dropping off a little bit in the opening 2 maps of another. It's nothing, it's not to say that he's not going to step it up later on as we get into the series a little bit further. It's best of 5. It's more of a marathon than anything. So you need to be, pacing yourself throughout the course of that. But for how well he played on Chalet earlier on, and you just think back to it and you think it was a joy to watch, wasn't it? And now you're sort of looking at it, you're going, God, we know that you're better than this, Redux. We've seen you play today, and you've played insane.
He needs to really try and lift them out of this kind of slump that he's in, Ollie, because they can't afford it. They cannot afford to lose Oregon, because then you're staring at 2-0 and having a comeback. 3 rounds in a row, it's not easy. Only a select few have done that. And there's quite a select few who did not achieve that. So what category do you want to fit into? So Black Dragons with the opening pick, that alleviates any pressure for potential roam game. They're in Swift, they're being able to establish that meeting control. They have that hatch open, and now they can start looking to rotate in towards blue. Paris just slips down in free pillar, finds an absolute freebie on the Philippe Hawks. Rapso will get the refrag, but still Perez, he's done the damage this round.
Perez is that player that we've, you know, kind of highlighted a couple of times, but it's one that's worth highlighting again. You need to keep a keen eye on him because he can be a bit of a playmaker over the course of a round. Not a lot of time left remaining here, but players coming up from MIBR to try and bolster and to try and redefend that doorway as the Toxic Babe canisters come through. Bassetto with the swing is going to find himself one. That's the diffuser called as Raps and Lukid pick up the pieces. Nice crossfire there. They held their nerve. Not easy to do playing in from deep like that. If you miss a couple of shots onto your man, boom, they've snuck past. But the shots rang true there. MIBR not wasting any time here, starting Oregon off strong.
I mean, that's what happened to the Twitch. The Twitch was holding onto the angle, making sure the smoke couldn't swing. But the smoke is able to tank a few shots and then swing onto the players as they try and push into the bomb site. One moment like that, whenever you miss your shots and you don't get the man that you're supposed to cover, it creates chaos for everyone else in the team. And that's what it kind of came down to. MIBR have been very fortunate that shots were missed by Black Dragon players. And now they actually lead 1-0 inside of Oregon, even after a bit of an abysmal start that they had, losing out on that opening pick, losing pillar control very early on, and then giving away that Goyo kill, a 3 versus 5, being able to pull it back. I mean, that's on the menu for MIBR today, isn't it? Only 3 versus 5s.
They love a good 3 versus 5. There was, I think, 2 of them over on Villa earlier on this afternoon, so certainly no stranger, but it's not a consistency that you can rely on regularly. You really don't want to be putting that much pressure, and you want to kind of save those clutches for when they're really necessary. So I would advise that Redux steer clear of the windows this time at the start of the round and maybe just live to see the first minute or so. We are going to, of course, switch sites over in toward bedroom. A little bit of presence downstairs here as well. This is more what we expect with MIBR. Fowls, he's a lonely chap. Usually plays the site on his own. He's been left to do a lot of the setup there with the shotgun. I've even seen him reinforcing a few walls, and his teammates are just sort of off frolicking, getting themselves into position to rat around in various windows and doorways up and down the map.
So their own game, coming in thick and fast, trying to hold on to that kitchen as much as they can. And Black Dragons, that's certainly an area that you would expect to see them go, Ollie. They have 8 grenades. Think of the verticality that you can really abuse a lot of that top floor in towards that kids. It's destructible from below. If you get inside a kitchen, you can cripple anyone who maybe the smoke player inside of kids near maybe the hatch and kitchen. You can nade him out. You can get that free kill. So I do assume that Black Dragons are going to try and opt for that. And quite rightly so, of course. MIBR are trying to take that away from the attackers and actually put up a bit of a fight. This is what MIBR do best, and that's make it difficult for the attackers. They don't give anything up for free.
Ion maybe find himself a freebie there, and he will do just exactly that. What are the chances that that would be reduct? It's almost like someone's cast a curse on him in this game. He's just, and the series as a whole up until this point, he's just a magnet for those bullets in the opening part of the round. Again, going to find himself first blooded there. It was a good drone work, good bit of drone work from Ion there to discover his man and then be able to pre-fire on through the barricade. And then you just got the siege timing of Redux just choosing that exact moment to reposition. Hella unfortunate stuff, but an advantage that Black Dragons will take gladly. There's not a great deal else is really popping off inside of this round until we look toward the vertical. We want to see those nades going up. We want to see that info being gathered. There's red pings coming through now as well, just to further the accuracy on those grenade throws. But Philippe shuts Perez down, so that's going to be a couple of nades gone.
Ion leading the charge up through white stairs, even bounces the Toxic Babe off himself, and he is firmly inside of Generator, but they don't have the diffuser. The other 2 defenders who are lurking towards Trophy, they have it in their possession. 40 seconds, still time for Black Dragons to figure out what they want to do. But this will certainly come down to getting kills, and I think Black Dragons need to attack this in that manner. They play for the kills. You don't try and play to get that diffuser. You know that the 2 defenders are going to be lurking near the diffuser. It's just all about getting these kills. They've got one player rotating outside of the bedroom balcony, and this is where Live, he has to come alive. Philippok swings, but Live will win that engagement, and Luke it all by himself. What's he gonna do? He gets spotted out by the Iana clone, has to take the challenge, looks left, looks right, doesn't know where to swing. Live is being slipped through. Ion done so well to give that cover, and this is a bit of a hopeless affair from Luke. It has to swing that door frame right into the guns of Black Dragons. That's how you clean it up. Whenever the diffuser's in that scenario, it can be tricky, but they've done a great example of how you deal with that.
It's about being able to put pressure on the defenders that are trying to watch over that diffuser at the same time as send somebody in under that cover to pick it up. It's a real precise operation at that point, and it's something that Black Dragons just clicked their fingers and were like, yep, this is the direction that everybody is going to be pulling in now. You look at that kill again, you still feel unfortunate for Redux watching it back, and we've already seen it once. It's still a nightmare for him. But it was the start of a less than ideal round for MIBR. Black Dragons executed all of that as well in sort of record time. The focus to try and get those grenades thrown up, it was almost read into a little bit by MIBR. They played downstairs with things like Philippok's on the alibi and Lukid roaming as well. So it was something that they were kind of aware of, and they knew that it was going to be a factor, but I don't think they were just prepared for how big a factor it was going to be.
Back upstairs for MIBR. Same bomb site choice. Black Dragons, interesting change. In comes the nuke from Perez, and you know, we've kind of mentioned he's a playmaker. Nuke is certainly a playmaker operator. It's very, I want to use the word selfish, Ollie, because that's what she is. Her gadget only helps herself. So he needs to make it count. Like, he needs to get kills on the board if you want to make a nuke pick actually worthwhile, because other than kills, she brings nothing else to the board. There is nothing else that benefits the team.
You get a couple of nades.
Yeah, well, that's kills.
Yeah, sure, hopefully, or utility removed. But yeah, I understand. It's not like you bring in an Iana clone that's going to do a lot for your team. Iana clones do so much for the team.
If Iana players decide to use them, that is. Sometimes we see players kind of tunnel vision into, I kill and I only kill. That's all I know how to do. But Ion's, I think, done a great job so far. He's been using the clones actively. You looked at the last round of that 3 versus 2, just finding out information on where these players are going to be situated. Moments like that makes the difference. So Black Dragons, where are they going to set up? With not having the Maverick, it does kind of question, can they go Attic safely? Because generally you would have your Thermite pushing in towards bedroom and opening up generator. Then you'd have the Maverick on the other side at the same time, open up Attic. So only the one hard breacher is going to limit you just a little bit. Perez, here he comes. Will toss a nade out. He knows that somebody's lurking inside of security, who does have a big old rotate, and Ion actually misses the Q on that. And does he not know that the players ran all the way in towards green? I don't think he did. Ion not being able to hear that man sprint across that kitchen floor has cost them a bit of a free kill. That was a good pinch they had going on, but still, I suppose Black Dragons, they got what they wanted, Ollie. They had the kitchen control.
They got the control, and it didn't cost them too much from the utility bank to actually gain that. It's done something to push those players back a little bit as well. Toxie going to be on that double window. Live tees himself up with a nade, but gets met with a spray full of lead as he immediately rounds the corner into the pre-fire. A little bit more work required downstairs, I think, if they're going to try and make that successful. 2 kills come on in. Perez, look at that timing. Hops himself on through and catches who other than Redux again. Another unfortunate piece of time, and the nade being used to burn a laser gate is always a desperate measure. But with 50 seconds left, Perez needs to try and make something happen here, as plan A hasn't really worked out for them. Toxie, he's going to be trying to challenge onto White. There is going to be a player on White, and he's going to land his shots. Little kid missing there. It's not every day that you can say that. Philippok gets down for the count too. Now, Black Dragons have the advantage. They have flipped this table around. 3 versus 2 here. Perez still posing a threat as he looks to try and push through. Bassetto on the upside down repel. Perez pushing in now a little bit more aggressively, but doesn't have the information. Gets caught out there as Fowles is the last man standing. Picks one, picks the second. The shotgun could do the work here. There's 12 seconds. There's a long time to be going ring around the rosy, but Fowles makes it happen. Demo, look at that for a clutch. That surely got to do something to boost the morale on MIBR.
He is the Rock. the absolute clutch king for MIBR. How many times do we see him by himself with just an onslaught of enemies charging headfirst at him, and he just bounces them off? They just ricochet off him.
10 seconds remaining.
Black Dragons losing out in that fashion, a 1 versus 3. My oh my. MIBR, just, they're so... They win rounds that they just shouldn't. I don't know how they do it. I really don't. I'm getting FaZe vibes, because I think FaZe, for a big period of the year, Ollie, we've always looked at that team and we thought, how do they do this?
Yeah, for sure. MIBR, they give off that vibe, and you look at that round and you rewatch and you rethink about how it played. MIBR were up, okay? So it was a 5 versus 3. Which usually isn't the way that those rounds end for MIBR, because usually they like being 3 versus 5.
Yeah.
But in this instance, they were 5 versus 3. Black Dragons rallied. They came up with a lot of solutions to a lot of problems there. But the final problem, the final raid boss was Fouls. And there's just not a lot that you can do when he's put his back up against the wall, when he's in that corner, when he's got the shotgun and it's pumping. It usually hits its mark, and that's exactly what happened there. From the start of the round, MIBR looked good. You know, they got the 2 opening picks, and you think from that point, yeah, you should win it. But it shouldn't have to come down to Fouls winning a 1 versus 3.
I'm out. Gotta reload.
My goodness. My goodness. So, Black Dragons, look what's happened to you. You've lost a round that looked as if it was going to be yours for a period of that round. They have the switch up, though. They now have to attack onto this basement. And again, a similar story, I would say, for MIBR, really relying on the smoke player to make those big plays. And some of it was down to the misfortunes of Black Dragons, who let some things slip, but still, MIBR being able to claw themselves out of situations that they have no right of being able to get out of. You look at Black Dragons in the lineup, they're back on the Maverick again. The Nook is gone, these kind of sneaky plays, they're realizing, okay, they've caught onto it. They don't really think it's as worth. Maybe you know it's going to be basement, so they think the Maverick's going to be a better pickup. Keep in mind that Kide is open in Oregon, so the meat hatch could be Kided off, so you have to bring the Maverick. MIBR have no interest in bringing the Kide anyway, but Black Dragons still have to take, that risk, and they still have to bring in that Maverick just in case it does happen to them. Black Dragons again sweeping across throughout that mid floor. This is a good time for them. They've gotten in, still half the round to go. They established their control. Now they can get their hard breachers in, open up the hatches, rotate towards blue, and carry out the general to-do list that we like to see for the Oregon basement.
Perez is going to position himself in the meeting to start dealing with one of those hatches, that one being the one that drops into electrical box. As his 2 teammates look to try and make entry in here through bunker. A little bit of drone work required just to ensure that all is clear. Now, the kitchen hatch is going to be open. Patoxy can choose to use that to try and throw a little bit of utility down. It's always an important thing to make sure you've got a good presence inside of that kitchen. And you think back to the way that this round played out last, and well, Lukid was allowed to play in the kitchen corridor, and he came up with one of, if not the last kill on the round. Nades being prepped now from Toxic, as it's worth just seeing if there's anybody playing in the little elbow there. Toxic Babes now cutting off that approach into the bunker. Now, the benefit of a team that's going to push in a little bit later if you're a defender is you can throw those Toxic Babes a lot deeper and really force a lot of time to be wasted. Fouls is showing no signs of slowing down. Takes down live. And all of a sudden, Black Dragons, they need to try and make something happen here, Demo. 25 seconds, not a lot of time.
Yeah, they need to get a shift on. Here's the Trace Lukid with 2 kills, playing that Shaikur door, and a third for him also. MIBR, and the blink of an eye, slaughter the attack of Black Dragons. This is the MIBR we know, Ollie. They're ready, they're here, and they're to try and take back a map inside of this series. They're looking good. That's a good defensive half, and generally for Oregon, I mean, you're kind of aiming for like a 4-2, so they're on course for it.
MIBR not looking phased at all there. They had everything under control. They were able to space out their utility very nicely. Lukid coming in with 2-3 big kills there on the round, and Patoxy just didn't have the required impact there. The mirror window really shutting him down. Those mirrors have been causing quite a big bit of hassle, and it's unusual to see them go ignored for so long, especially given how important your freezer push is. It's understood that a lot of utility is required to take control of bunker, but Freezer is equally as important to make sure that you have that presence from the other side. It's very similar, Demo. The way that I always think about it anyway, is that your Freezer on Oregon is the same as your Blue on Clubhouse. It's just got that kind of vibe about it. You know you need to have somebody in there, and they just sometimes need a little bit of a handhold. They need a little bit of support in there. And it's not something that we've seen Black Dragons really dedicate much time to.
So we see the tertiary bomb site come out for the first time, and generally this is where we see the kind of attackers win the rounds. It's usually on either the meeting or the dining bomb site. Mostly because they're not the easiest to control. They're quite big surface areas that you need to take control of. You think of kitchen already. There's quite a few ways you have to try and cover off. You think of green corridor. Obviously, the meeting walls can be exposed. You're looking towards dining. You have small tower you have to take control of. Then that means you have to take control of showers, security. There's a lot of things, Ollie, in that puzzle that you have to try and put together. And then for meeting, again, it's very similar. You have attic, then you need to try and look at. Then you extend in towards kids. So just a whole meander of things that you as defense actually spread yourself out and quite thin, and that's where you're a bit of a disadvantage, and the refrags can come in quite thick and fast, and there's nothing that you can really do against that because the attackers can just say, okay, we're pushed from this side, let's just take the trades and win it. And that's usually what happens. So the tertiary bomb sites, you need to win them as attackers, or else the defenders are going to run away with the game entirely.
Black Dragons an opportunity to begin salvaging this phase. Ion, does he know that somebody is inside of security? I would guess not, given the fact that he's just beelined his way straight up these white stairs. Now, he does have a teammate behind him that could try and provide a bit of cover, but Ion is immediately just trying to cut this site in half, not wasting any time getting himself up there. Gets an opportunity and will take it. Raps, he is going to fall. Ion could find himself a second here if he plays his cards right. Going to certainly put a couple of shots in, but Lukid was successful below and wasn't discovered inside of security. 3 versus 3 make it 3 versus 2 as Felipox shuts live down. The long angle being taken advantage of there. The Toxie has control of this top floor, but at what cost? The site, of course, you mentioned Demo being the tertiary bomb site downstairs inside of kitchen and dining. You need to be getting that top floor for a little bit cheaper than what it has cost.
Yeah, and they've been ripped off, haven't they, Ollie, with what they put into the attack of the top floor. Need to try and get their money back somehow. MIBR, they're already gone. All they have to do is sit and hold their angles. They know they're in good positions. And you see, again, like I mentioned, you're very spread out on this bomb site, so there is still potential for Black Dragons if they win their 1v1s, but sadly, they're not doing so. Reduct finds Batoxi and Basetto. He's on the hatch, and there's only one way to go from hatch, and that is down. Straight into the Lion's Den, and he drops, and this should be an easy lockout for MIBR, and it will be. It was only a matter of time. MIBR win the tertiary bomb site, and wow, this Oregon defense just keeps getting better and better.
It's probably the best way that MIBR could have gotten onto Oregon as well, you know, to come into a map that, you know, we don't think of Oregon and immediately think of MIBR. So to come into this map, for the way that we saw them play on Clubhouse, to come into Oregon on the defense, it's exactly what they needed. Now, we are seeing a tactical timeout. Black Dragons are choosing now as a moment to take a breath and see if they can salvage a 4-2 here at the very best. Of course, it gives MIBR a chance to have a natter as well and just sort of gas each other up and say, yep, more of the same, please, guys, because that's exactly what has been working so far.
So, timeout for Black Dragons, and they know that it's not going well. And now they have to go and face another good defensive bomb site, as I believe we're going to head upstairs now, Ollie. And if it's a 5-1 split for MIBR, then you really start to question, can Black Dragons match that? Because that's what they have to do. They have to match that, don't they? They have to get 5 rounds to try and square it up into overtime, at least. And I mentioned about the tertiary bomb sites, Ollie. Even if Black Dragons, they're still winning, you know, the basement and the top floor, if they can't defend, you know, those tertiary bomb sites, which usually they're not supposed to. The attackers should win those bomb sites. I'd say it's about a good win percentage anyway, definitely above the 50% line. Those rounds are going to be inevitable going in favor of MIBR.
Especially when we think back to how well Black Dragons attacked previously, they attacked very well on Clubhouse. They didn't defend too badly either, but attack was certainly one of their strong
Attackers
suits.
need to locate and defuse bombs.
MIBR are a good defensive side, but their attacks today have been, over the course of the day as a whole, not just looking at that first map of this best of 5, but they've been fierce. They have been up to par. So MIBR maybe just sailing in here and looking to level this best of 5 out to just a straight out best of 3 after the second map, which is essentially what it would turn into if both teams win a map each coming straight into it. So we'll see how it transpires and how it all plays on out. Back upstairs we go. This was the only site that Black Dragons were actually successful on, wasn't it, Demo?
Attackers must locate
Yeah, it
and
was.
defuse the bomb.
This top floor, and it was a bit of a sketchy one still at that. It wasn't a very clean round from them, but still they won it nonetheless. Doesn't matter how you win the round, as long as you win it, especially whenever you're in a do-or-die matchup such as this. You'll do anything to win a round. Doesn't matter how you do it, doesn't matter how ugly it is, as long as it gets you over that finish line. So, Black Dragons starting to, again, clear from this west side. I think they've been very fast, haven't they, Ollie, with getting in, get the drone work done, and establishing the kitchen quite early on. But I don't really think there's been that much of a follow-up from having that control. I haven't really seen many nade kills from below. But maybe that's because MIBR, as soon as they know they lose kitchen, all of them scatter. None of them sit inside of kids. None of them sit in positions where they can get naded from below. They play much more deep and long angles. I think that's also down to Black Dragons giving them control of Trophy still. MIBR can fall back to that position, hold from the doorways. You can still give good coverage onto White Stairs, for example. Attic isn't really touched either by Black Dragons. There's give and takes to both teams. You know, both teams are not afraid to take stuff, and both teams aren't afraid to give stuff up either.
Live, I believe it was, got pretty lucky last time. He peeked this doorway with a nade in hand, very similarly to how he is doing now. This time he hasn't received the face full of lead that he got last time, as he has successfully been able to throw the nade in deep to push the players out, and then one onto the ceiling to remove utility, but it doesn't come without cost. Perez directly trades on with Felipox, Maverick for a Goyo. Probably a decent trade for a defending team there, as the Maverick still has a lot of utility that he can try and get around over the duration of the round, as opposed to the fit and forget Goyo shields. Fouls there, I think, takes a bit of damage as gets chunked down by half. MIBR slowly but surely have restricted themselves purely to the site. And with a minute left and nades still yet to fly, it could be a dangerous place to be.
So Lucas, just kind of dancing around, seeing if he wants to play Asic, wants to play this kind of angle he's on now, and we'll catch out that Iana clone. So the information's being gathered by Black Dragons as much as they can. One thing that kind of confuses me, Ollie, as well, with how Black Dragons are setting up is, I mean, they have no intention of putting pressure onto these players, you know, outside of Trophy, for example. I don't know why they aren't rotating somebody over there just to create some chaos. I mean, Fouls can't exactly, you know, sit tight and or even read out. They can't sit in those safe positions if somebody is breathing down their neck. And it's almost as if Black Dragons are just playing into the MIBR setup. MIBR want them to attack from just this one direction because there's no strain on how they're holding it right now.
10 seconds left.
Well, the hopping from Bassetto is successful, but the C4 could very well land. It goes very deep as kills start to flood in. Live going to be the last line of defense, but Raps in position to shut him down. A lot of time spent there setting up for what was eventually a very simple take of just hopping in through a big window. It's disappointing to not see Black Dragons take better advantage of the actual space that they had there. There wasn't a lot that was set up by MIBR to stop them from doing pretty much whatever they wanted. Something that really sort of stood out to me partway through the round when I was looking at how much utility and how many nades were left and stuff. There was no Jaeger brought from MIBR. There was no Wamai brought. Wamai, of course, being banned here. But no Jaeger. And I just don't feel like we felt the bite of those nades based off the back of no Jaeger being brought.
You still have to question as well, how is there a man being allowed to play inside of kids whenever they have kitchen control very early on and they have a boatload of nades? That's one thing I also worry about, Ollie. And, you know, whenever we're dealing with a Wamai gone, we should see a lot more nade kills on the attacking side than what we've seen so far in this half. It just feels as if that Black Dragons, they got their priorities just a little bit mixed up.
Maybe just not seeing how big the opportunity was in front of them just through being caught in the heat of the moment. But alas, we will switch sides. It's now MIBR's turn to hit the attack. But after a very successful defending phase, the vibes are going to be high. The mental is going to be rebuilt. They're going to have forgotten all about Clubhouse and the trials and tribulations that they went through over on that map. And instead, they can just focus on picking up 2 here and catapulting us into our 3rd map, which is a reality. And it's a reality that might not be that far away, depending on how Black Dragons step it up here. They've got a lot of work to do. They need to find 4 clean rounds just to bring themselves level.
Yeah, MIBR are back in business, aren't they, Ollie? They've really been able to gain that confidence back that maybe they were lacking. Or, I mean, even in Clubhouse, I think we criticized for too much confidence at times of how they were swinging certain positions, but this time it has been warranted. They're on their attack now, and again, you could look and think, oh, it's over, a 5-1. How on earth do Black Dragons pull back from this? I've seen stranger comebacks. It certainly is a possibility that what MIBR did to Black Dragons can do exactly that back to MIBR. I think this first round will tell a lot to that story, Ollie. If MIBR take this round right here, you're looking at 6-1, yeah, then it's going to be really, really difficult for Black Dragons to have any sight back into this matchup. But there is still that possibility. And they sweep through that mid-floor. Hatches are going to be opened up. Interesting to see where they're kind of setting up. We've seen a lot more kind of blue-orientated take coming in from Black Dragons. This is the secondary take that we usually see, and this is where teams like to pressure in towards Laundry and towards Freezer. It's a lot easier to gain control of these positions, but actually trying to plant on them is a bit more of a tougher ask. You think inside of Freezer, nades can be tossed in quite simply. Laundry, you can swing, you can hold down on the people swinging highway, but actually getting the plant down whenever there's C4s and smoke cancers and the kitchen sink being tossed at you, that's where it becomes quite difficult.
Just about 1 minute and 10 seconds left to go, and still everybody alive. A different intention for those Twitch drones being shown by MIBR, as Raps did try and hop his drone over to maybe do something about that mirror window, but it was unsuccessful. Blue Kid, he's got a little bit of a line onto somebody here. He knows there's likely going to be somebody playing in the corridor. Could be worth a nade if he's got one remaining. 45 seconds, MIBR, they're leaving themselves so much to do here, and it's a very careful setup that they're trying to prepare here, but it's going to hang in the balance of the gunfights. And do those gunfights go in your favor? The distraction has been provided, but the kills flood, and they flood for one side and one side only. Black Dragons, it's only till Fowls gets into the mix that we see a little bit of a fight back. Raps is downed as well, ensuring this is going to be a 1 versus 4 with only 20 seconds. It is highly unlikely he will be collected inside of the freezer, and he will just be left to bleed out on the ground. A little bit of a line of sight found there by Raps, but there was no denying that Black Dragons had control of that round from start through finish.
Yeah, they did. They didn't really panic. They knew what they had at their disposal. The mirror windows, of course, being that big thing, Ollie. Mirror windows, crucial for trying to slow down anyone pushing Freezer, anyone pushing in towards Laundry. And you've seen that to full effect. MIBR, though, like we've kind of mentioned with tertiary bomb sites, that's what they're going to have their eyes set on. As long as they can just get through these rounds, and then they know they can nail those tertiary bomb sites, they will win this matchup. But who's to say they can't do it on kids? This is a bomb site that we've seen Black Dragons, I think, win their only round on the attack. So maybe that's something that you can look at and think, okay, if Black Dragons can win a round, then maybe MIBR can do the same. It just depends what strategy they want to employ. They've got nades. They've got 4 nades, so you can definitely make the argument of going below and towards kitchen, utilizing the nade gameplay. No Maverick as well, which is also something to keep in mind, Ollie. So we might not see the attic take. This might be just a straightforward generator attack. That could definitely be something on the cards.
I think at this point I'd like to see a generator attack, because Black Dragons were so hell-bent on just hopping themselves in through big window that we never really saw a lot of depth to their attack. We didn't see the attic really being pushed too hard. We didn't see the generator coming through and being a really big factor. You think back to the round they won, and it was just off the back of good site control, recovering the diffuser, and then being able to just overwhelm, essentially, the bodies that were left for MIBR. So see where MIBR choose to play this one. I think they'll probably admit themselves that they left themselves with quite a lot to do in a very little amount of time back in round number 1. I doubt that that's going to be a trend that continues. Lukid quickly going to get himself to a position to keep an eye on that main door. Does have the nades and all the information that goes with that, so can look to try and make use of it. I think he may be trying to bait somebody out here. He knows that somebody's inside a small office. At least there was a pre-fire there earlier on. Could just be looking to gather a bit of info and see if there's a quick free kill that he can go and pinch.
MIBR have done what you're kind of expecting with only just the one hard breach rolling out. Is just your run-of-the-mill bedroom into armory and then finally into generator take. So the only issue that you would have with only bringing the one hard breach from not actually going another side, such as attic, is the players inside of attic. You're looking specifically at Ion with that deployable shield. He can sit as happy as anything right now, and he can hold on to that breach as long as he wants, because he's never going to feel threatened. That's an entire concrete floor, so as if you can go below and try and nade him out. He's just going to be sitting there and thinking, oh, I can't be touched. And then that's where the bottlenecks start to happen, and whenever you throw in smoke canisters and C4s into that, it's going to end in misery. So the only hope that I can see for MIBR is that they manage to get some picks off the windows. There is still windows, generator window, double window that Luke had literally just got a kill from. Even the kids window, I know it's a little bit risky, but still, it's a window that you can utilize. If you have that man advantage, it doesn't matter how many players are in sight or what strong positions, because you can just flood them and overwhelm them at the end of the day.
Ion potentially just waiting for the call on a C4 there. You can see the breach has been opened, so needs to be mindful of that now as well. There is a utility that's attempting to be removed here, but the Twitch drone has just been lost. Ion knows that there's going to be a drone that's gone in a little bit deeper, and he's waiting for the bodies to follow. 45 seconds is in and around that magic time that MIBR like to try and make that execute happen. Ion just getting a little bit braver every time he peeks over onto that breach. The Toxic Babe canister's doing something to try and stem the flow of players coming in through that trophy doorway. That's going to do just exactly that. It limits the angles that need to be worried about here, but Pasetto is going to be all out of gas. Lukid on that main window as Fleepox tries to hop himself in through attic now as well, but look at those kills coming on in. Lukid gets himself lit to a point of nearly being out of the action, but Redux finally picks himself up and grabs a kill for himself. Very scrappy as a panic knife even gets thrown in there as well, Demo. The plant being attempted on 3 seconds. Black Dragons have come away with it. It was a mess from start through finish. That final 45 seconds, what a mess.
God bless this mess. My word. I kind of expected that to happen, Ollie. Whenever you don't have really any pressure coming in from attic, it's going to cause you issues because you don't have that same control. Players can swing you for free on those generator walls, and that's literally exactly what happened. I think you needed somebody on that generator window, because that generator window, you can have that line of sight onto the man on the attic door, which is probably your biggest nemesis if you're looking to go in for a plant. I would say the smokes were a little bit skiffed. I mean, even you could have smoked off the attic door, because realistically, if you think about where the players are situated, it was mostly in towards attic. You know, that was the main issue for them. Attic and top white primarily was where they were at. Stopping somebody swinging top white. Oh, send somebody on the white stairs. Keep in mind, they had a man advantage, Ollie. They could have done wonders with an extra man, but they just didn't utilize them enough. They had like 3 people stacked up on the bedroom side of things, and they all just walked in one by one and just met the same fate.
Yeah, Felipox went for the late rotate into attic, didn't he, through the window, but by that point, it was just...
It's too late.
The damage had been done, hadn't it? It was too little, too late. An unsure call, I think it's fair to say, from MIBR. And, well, this is where we find out how this game's really going to go, Demo, because this is the tertiary site. This is almost the moment that we've kind of been waiting for. It's semi-expected at this point that as a defending side, you're going to win your defenses here on Oregon. But the tertiary site is really where that's won and lost. Neither team showing enough bite on their defense, on their attacks, should I say, here today, to give us a reason to suspect they're going to start chaining them together on the laundry site, on the kids' bedroom site. You know, that's just not going to happen. It's these secondary and tertiary bomb sites that we need to be focusing on. So here and now is an opportunity for MIBR to get themselves onto that match point and maybe, just maybe, try and ride that momentum through to a finish.
A bomb has been located.
Let's see now how Black Dragons can hold on to these tier 3 bomb sites. This is what it comes down to, Ollie. This is it. In my eyes, it all comes down to MIBR. If they can win this tier 3 bomb site, then they're in prime position to go on to win out this map. But if Black Dragons win it, then we have a game on our hands, and now we're kind of in that scenario where, okay, both teams just cannot attack Oregon. That's a proven fact. So, small tower control, firmly in the grasp of MIBR. Still 2 minutes to go. This is where he can start working on the utility placements, get the hard breacher in. Thermite comes in, opens up the wall. That's going to be easy for him. It's all about showers control for this bomb site. If you get showers control on this attacker, the bomb site just becomes unhinged and you can easily get a plant down. Defenders, as we know, will throw everything they have at trying to hold on to the showers. Typically, we're seeing a bunch of ADSs, a shield, and then usually one player. Typically, it is the Wamai, but he is banned out in this game, so it makes things a little bit trickier, and they've even had to bring in a smoke with an FMG9 Ollie, not the smoke with a shotgun, just to try and give them that extra bit of security and allow them to take these longer engagements.
That's exactly what Patoxy's going to be looking for there, as the Toxic Babe canister goes long, just double checks that he's not being pressured inside showers all too much. He's currently covered in some enemy smoke as well, so he's being shielded quite nicely. Fowls is gearing himself up for a plant here. There's a heavy stack up of players for MIBR on the doorway, and as we see, throwables get tossed on in. Lukid picks up a kill onto Basetto, and that is your cue to call. Live grabs himself too, and that's the diffuser cold on the ground. Lukid, for all that is a hot shot on the gun, it wasn't enough to cover the plant as it was being attempted for the first time at least. 35 seconds left and still Patoxy in position. That FMG9 now just gets increased in value as he's able to hold that angle a little bit tighter for a little bit longer, but 2 kills come in back to back, make it 3 for Leapox. He was hanging around there inside of the small office, and MIBR have done it. They have won on the tertiary bomb site. I hope that he doesn't leave. I hope the Leapox doesn't leave him hanging that long in real life. In the
really
server
sad.
demo. He looks really sad. Considering they've just picked up a round, like, I don't want the fist bumps to be booming.
He just, that's just mean. Poor guy. But yeah, that's what happens. Tertiary bomb site, it's difficult to hold. It really is. I think that was showcased in MIBR. They've done what they've needed to do. At least they've secured the overtime. But keep in mind that if Black Dragons, they want to go to overtime, they will have to defend a tertiary bomb site again if they get to that. So either way, it doesn't look good for them. And of course, MIBR can still finish it on either the laundry or the top floor if we get to that, of course.
Locate and defuse as many bombs as they can.
There is opportunity here for MIBR to very quickly grab back a win and just level this up to a best of 3 as opposed to a best of 5. We weren't too close, though. I think that's something that's worth bearing in mind. The time that we saw them attack downstairs into laundry, it was a very slow affair, wasn't it? 45-second execute, a bit of a double hatch drop, as it were. There was players dropping in through electrical hatch into the bottom of electrical, and then there was a player dropping in, I think it was Luca dropping in through kitchen hatch. So, oh, sorry, freezer hatch. Little bit of a lackluster attempt. But now there's a lot more on the line. There's a match point on the line. There's a chance to level up at 1 map apiece in the series. It means a lot more at this point in time for MIBR.
So, here we go now. Moving in to the basement attack. Can have a mix of a west side clear and also a bit of a tower clear also. So you can see their clear ideas, Ollie. This leads me to believe that I think meeting's going to be on the cards. I think, again, it's going to be that blue-sided take that MIBR want to go for. Generally, you still would like to clear out, the entirety of the map. You can clear out west side. You don't necessarily have to be forced into a laundry and freezer, and that's a bit of a common misconception that all because a team is clearing the entirety of the map doesn't just mean that they're going to go for laundry and freezer. It just gives them options, I suppose, more than anything, Ollie.
It's a confidence, isn't it, that the map's clear and that you can, start to work and make progress wherever you wish without worrying about the flank.
Oh, they found an
quickly gets himself down. What is he playing out there? He's on the hard breach as well, but just saw the opportunity and, well, he went for it. It wasn't successful. Dealt a little bit of damage out. Luke saying, I'll have a look down there now. Don't you worry. You get some hatches open or do something, please, before you fall.
That was the biggest freebie, the almost free, we call that one, Ollie. Should have been dead, realistically, but somehow survives, and it's Perez who just walks up the laundry stairs right onto Fowles' head. How's that happened?
Warden players. Warden players, man, they're a different breed.
How do you classify a Warden player?
I mean, he's picked Warden.
Is that it? Is that it? No, just as long as you've picked Warden, that's you. That's it. Yeah. So I'm a Warden player. Yeah.
I think everyone is at heart. Is the Warden gonna have anything to say here, though? Perez, he can hold the long angle there through into Freezer, but it's a serious range to be challenging at. Basetto keeps them at bay along with Ion. Perez can just get a little bit braver now in the knowledge that there are still 5 players alive here for Black Dragons. This could be a flawless here demo. Felipox, he's on the hatch. What was it you said? If you're on a hatch, there's only one way you can go, and that is down. Gifting the flawless round over to Black Dragons. Not that they didn't deserve it. They played exceptionally well there. It won't be in the basement that this is converted into a map point for MIBR. They will have to fight another day.
Sadly, I've realized that my saying of there was only one way to go is down. That doesn't actually apply to Amaru or Oryx. I might have to rework that, Ollie. I don't think that's entirely crystal clear. Maybe that's something that MIBR need right now. Maybe they need the Amaru. Maybe they need something a little bit fresh, because it seemed to be the same old from MIBR. Things don't go well for them, and they just toss themselves at the opponents. We've seen it on Clubhouse. They've done it plenty of times in Clubhouse. Maybe this is where they're saying, let's just skip the next 2 rounds and go straight to the tertiary attack. That might be their theory.
Just speed run to the next tertiary site.
Yeah.
It's certainly a strategy, isn't it? But whether it's a worthwhile one, I guess only time will tell. You can probably take a little bit of sort of solace in the fact that this came down to a 1 versus 1 last time. It was Felipox versus, I want to say, Basetto maybe, or Ion as the last alive. So it wasn't a clear-cut round by any stretch of the imagination. There were a lot of things that MIBR could have done differently and could have done quicker to get themselves a better result. So if they get themselves in a similar position whereby they've got the generator wall open, they've got a little bit of presence inside of games, and they're looking to try and push in, if they're able to make that rotation quicker and take control of Attic, it could be a different story.
Of course. They just need another option. That's just the main thing with MIBR. They just cannot push one directional. And MIBR should know that. You think about how Black Dragons stemmed some of their attacks, Ollie. They were very one-dimensional in terms of how they attacked. And MIBR, they cleaned it up with ease. It's always strange to see teams kind of fall into that same trap that they know what to do if they're against it. Raps goes down. An opening pick comes in for Black Dragons. I wonder where that is from. Oh, the armory. He swung in the armory and he's been punished, Ollie.
It's not somewhere that you can just swing in for free, is it? Armories, someone's always got an eye on it, just seeing if there's anybody that's looking to try and take a shortcut on their way. This was something that really slowed MIBR down last time, and that was the mute jammer placements. They were so good from Black Dragons, and it looks as though they're just as good here again. The drones can't push forward enough to gather that information to really get a clear understanding of where utility is. More than anything, you need to know where that utility is before you really start worrying about where players are. It can be just as important to remove that mute jammer or that deployable shield as it can be to try and get that kill. So Redux going to have to try and go about this the old-fashioned way. Maybe put a bit of a lifeline through there as he burns the gate, destroys the jammer. Still going to be a Melusi Banshee in place, but at least it allows the drones through.
I'm seeing similarities again, Ollie. MIBR just kind of stacking up into the same places they were last time. And Fowles obviously has that diffuser. He wants to try and get into literally where Redux drone is. That's where he wants to plant. That's the safest position you can get the diffuser down. So that's what he's going to be aiming for. But Attic, once again, Ollie, is going to be untouched, and Ion can sit there all day of the week and just have a blast. Basetto in a very risky position. It isn't off kind of position that he's in right now, and he will not get punished. He instead picks up a kill. Files has been down, but he can still be revived. Ion gets swung. Reduct has appeared inside of Kids and Black Dragons. They've crippled at the seams. Lucan and Reduct have pulled off a heist ollie. They've snuck in beneath the cover of everything that was going on inside a trophy. It took them a while, but MIBR finally will close out Oregon.
MIBR, it seems to be when they come away with the round win like that, it is just off the sheer power of